Welcome to Tights Frame of Mind. I'm one of your hosts, Pantyhose King, and with me is
McSheer.
This is the first time you said your name. You were not frightened.
It's definitely something that just sounds better in an American accent. And you got to remember, I came up with that. What do we call it? Pseudonym? Is it a pseudonym?
Yeah, pseudonym. Yeah.
I came up with that when I was quickly realizing there was a community, and I was like, shit, I need a name. So it's 6 a.m. for you. Are you wearing the hose that you slept in, or you got dressed for this?
Yeah, no, I'm in a 3-piece suit. No, yes, I'm wearing the pantyhose that I slept in and the nylon top that I slept in. At 6 a.m. people, I'm sorry. I'm not Howard Stern. Well, clearly, but I'm also, I'm gonna be a little slap happy until the coffee kicks in. So please bear with me. I wanted to do a little bit of a warm up, but McSheer wasn't having it. He said, "We got to start recording now," and I said,
"You've heard the saying, this isn't the dress rehearsal, right?"
And all the men and women are poor players on a stage with strutting. I think that was Baudelaire.
Do you want to tell us what we got coming up in episode 4?
Coming up in episode 4, we have a whirlwind cavalcade of excitement. We're going to be discussing pantyhose and celebrities and icons that wear them throughout time, which is going to be funsies. And we got a special guest joining us at the end, a patron of ours, Hunter Loves Hose. We'll be talking to him about his experiences, growing up and his unique pantyhose evolution, which we figured out everybody has their own one. Even though we're all fetishists, we all have our little, how did he put it? Our little island, I think he said. A little bit of a fun fact. The other day, I was out shopping at Target, which we all know is the French Walmart, and I was out there, and I noticed that walking in the store, there was another guy that was wearing pantyhose openly with me, and I thought, this is the most I've seen pantyhose being worn in Florida, period, for the past forever.
Did you go and talk to him?
I mean, no, because I feel like that would be EP cray.
What's EP cray?
Creepy.
Oh, right. Definitely approach a fellow hoser.
No, you wouldn't.
If we were both wearing it at the same time.
You would not.
Wouldn't you?
In Target? I think he was with his girlfriend.
Yeah, but okay, so say you're with your partner in Target, and I see you. You're minding your own business, and this is what happens.
But you're alone.
I'm alone.
But you're alone.
I'm alone, and you don't even know I'm there yet. And I go, "Hi, excuse me."
Oh, hello?
Sorry to interrupt you guys. I just wanted to talk because I see you're wearing tights. So am I, and I didn't know. Yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, well...
So have we met before?
No, sorry, is that... that's why I said, excuse me. But
did you fart?
Sorry. No, I just didn't want to be rude, but I'm really excited that there's another guy here.
Oh my god, honey, oh my god. He means he has an erection. No, the main reason why I didn't say anything is because he looked like he could be 17 or 21, didn't really want to, risk approaching a minor.
Okay.
And it was just a cool moment. He was in the middle of conversation, and they were talking about young people stuff. They were just like, "Oh, what concert are you going to?" And I.
And were they definitely? They were definitely sheer hose. They weren't like leggings.
Do you question that I don't know the difference?
No, I don't, Your Highness.
How dare you, sir? I know what I know. Yes, they were pantyhose. It wasn't just leggings because remember, we're in Florida. Pantyhose alone would be thin denier. I learned this, which I learned later. Denier, not Denier, which is the way I pronounced it. Thin denier is really the only thing that you can get away with in Florida. Anything thicker, and it's torture.
In light of the chat that everyone's going to hear from Hunter, I have gone for something a bit thicker. That'll make sense when they hear it later. We talked a little bit about this ever-going conversation with pantyhose tights, where the line is denier, leg, you know what I mean? And I wanted to get some out and try them on for today's episode, which I will start filming on now.
Okay. So just full disclosure, last episode for our patrons, and this good Patreon plug, we had filmed ourselves wearing pantyhose as we recorded the podcast. and I recorded myself live, and so did McSheer. But he had some technical difficulties, and he says he told me about this, but I don't remember hearing it. Is that he then afterwards went and re-recorded himself again, looking very lovely, and posing and doing that sort of like Marilyn Monroe bending of the knee and pulling his nylons up just a little suggestively.
I was talking about loving pulling them up over my knee, so I did it on purpose to match it.
Yeah, and then mine are just, it's me from the side.
Even when they're listening right now, I'm going to slap the visuals on, and it's going to have you doing your most outrageous, cool stuff. And I've seen pictures of you looking good.
Oh, those are tights?
Well, these are. Do you think they're tights? I'm just going to show you here.
I think so.
Are they? I mean, I call them tights, but they are. And they're. Do you know what I mean? They've got such a sexy feel to them still.
I mean, they look good, but question.
Look.
What denier are they?
Do you know what I mean? When you bend and move, you get some flesh through. It's not quite. Do you know what I mean? This is what.
Okay, yeah.
Again, the listeners will hear when we're doing our interview with Hunter. We talk about this a little bit and the differences between both sides of the Atlantic. But these tights that I was going to describe are what you'll hear in the chat later. But there's something that's not so disdainful about tights to those sheer hose lovers, I think, because there are these kind that I'm wearing now that are thicker, but they're still sheer. And do you know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, I think they're sexy.
I think they're about 30 to 40.
Okay, so that still falls under what we were sort of discussing. So let's talk about that a little bit. I think we came to the agreement that anything, like the max number of would be 40 to 50 before they go from being what the Americans call pantyhose to just being universally tights. Did we not agree?
Oh, right, so these are still pantyhose.
I feel like they are, because if they are, if you can still see skin, I think that's what. But it's there's a big argument. I mean, there's a big argument about it. Like people fight on the interwebs. That's shocking, right? Like these people on FetLife, they go into it.
What I'm wearing now are thicker than what I think people mean by sheer and thin hose, which I, by the way, adore. But these just offer something different, and like I've explained a lot of times, to do with the role I'm playing in the sex. They can be very corporate, but they can also be very submissive rather than glamorous. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so you see glamorous as not submissive.
Every single time we make a statement, I just want to make another episode just about that. Gosh, I see like being a submissive sort of showgirl attire as being glamorous and submissive, but then I see like dressing up as Beyonce and strutting my stuff.
So this
they're both sheer.
Okay, so sheer's a little bit fiercer for you. I can see that. I can roll with that. So this was a question on FetLife. This was Hose and Casts asked, "Hey, just curious and thought this might spark a conversation. Does it bother you if someone calls pantyhose stockings or nylons? For me, I can't stand either of those terms for actual pantyhose." And then right away the bomb goes off. It's fantastic. These people just go on and on and on.
In year 9 at school, I got my first ever girlfriend, and was like, they all wore tights and miniskirts to school in the UK. And there was a teacher called Mrs. E, and she was the deputy head, and one of the girls wasn't wearing tights one day, and she walked past her in a very posh English accent, went, "Excuse me, young lady, where are your stockings?" And I remember at the age of 13, completely alone in my sort of mind, going, why didn't she say tights? Why didn't she say tights? It turns me on much more.
Yeah, I want to be turned on by the old lady.
I didn't even know that it was a fetish. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, I remember just being annoyed.
Why didn't she say tights? By the way, we have gotten ourselves our very first female listeners. We have 1% of our listeners are female. So to that 1% out there, I feel like the problem, well, at least with America and the pantyhose, is that I feel like a lot of it was forced. Women were forced to wear them for every job that they had to do. There was a no questions policy about it. You were going to get fired if you didn't wear them. You were considered indecent. And I think because they were locked into it as something that was associated with work and more than likely being subjugated, I can see why there's a pull against wearing them, because it's basically for them it's more of it's a shackle than something that's freeing. Would you want to like be forced to wear a 3-piece suit into bed? Because I hate wearing three-piece suits. I truly do.
Oh, yeah, shoes and trousers. Kill me.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But you know who we could ask? We could ask Kathy about it, because we do have Kathy from Strictly Anonymous coming up, and we're going to be talking to her in a few days. And she might be able to give us her thoughts on that, because I feel like she might have been one of those women that was forced to wear them.
Before, you notice what I was wearing today was also a skirt. I was, again, in light of Hunter's conversation, I really wanted to try out. I was trying to be less femme today, because he pointed out how much I love. But I couldn't find any shorts, so I've had to put on this sort of gladiator skirt thing.
Does it help to tell you that my erection meter was dialed up a few ticks? Does that help?
What is it, the erector scale?
My erector scale went up a couple of ticks.
Well, because of the skirt or the hose or the no heels?
Because I like your ass and those pantyhose. Sexual harassment?
No. Well, luckily for you, I'm someone who loves being sexually harassed. Shit, I better not cut that. It's going to be offensive to some.
No, leave it in. Leave that in. Leave it in. That's how people are going to know how to, like, flirt with you if they want to. You know, you got to leave it out there. So, what got my mind ticking on celebrities? I'll tell you what got my mind ticking on celebrities. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Styles. Now, I don't know a lot about Harry Styles, okay? I don't know. I mean, I've heard his music. He has a good voice. I have no issue with the lad. Seems to be very chic. He's got that body that, like, it's like, you know how when you hang clothes on a hanger and you just see the outfit draping and it looks perfect on the hanger? Like, that's how he's built. Like, you could throw a potato sack on him and it looks good. And he is an ambassador of high-waisted pants and all that good stuff. But what I want to point out is our young Harry, if I were to make a guess, an educated guess, I believe he is a hoser. Because when you look up Harry, there is conversations about him. He's done interviews where he talked about how he always wanted to wear tights, and he eventually got the courage to wear them. And let me tell you, there are multiple photo shoots, which I could post in, the Patreon bonus footage of the video where we can post the footage of Harry wearing. But he loves his pantyhose, and he will wear them at any chance that he gets. And we're talking like there's shots of him wearing fishnets. There's shots of him wearing white pantyhose. He's dressed as a watermelon wearing green tights. He is dressed as a ballet performer at Saturday Night Live. I mean, he can't get enough. Like, he loves wearing them. So my thoughts on the subject are, I believe that one of the biggest stars in the world is one of us. And I wish I could get in contact with him, because I feel like he would be like, oh, they know.
Imagine if Harry Styles is one of our listeners.
He's dressed up as Dorothy from Wizard of Oz in red tights on stage, which did she even wear red tights in the movie? I think she was bare-legged.
You've made me think of so many points throughout my life where I've been watching TV or films or seen characters, and they've really triggered my fetish. So, for example, Jennifer Aniston's an obvious one in Friends. I used to just watch Friends. Yeah, I liked the show, but her and Courtney Cox was constantly being dressed.
They wear tights a lot?
As in hose.
Oh dear, we've gone down that road. What did they wear? What Denier did they wear?
She was wearing I'd say 30 or less. Sometimes really sheer.
Okay, yeah. In the 90s, they did do that. Like, sort of, they went with the outfit.
Yeah, and do you know what I mean? A massive association when you see Jennifer Aniston on, like, the Ellen show getting interviewed, and she'll have a lot of skirt on, a pair of boots, and, like, some sheer brown tights on, and I would always be like, oh my god.
I guess I'm gay. Jennifer Aniston, what I remember about her legs was that she always had really beautiful bare legs. Like, she just has really nice skin.
One of the reasons I look forward to Friends now is I get to sit and... It's more likely than not she'll walk in with a pair of tights on. I'm always a bit gutted when they wear trousers, secretly.
Gutted. Crestfallen.
I honestly thought you might have been like, oh my god, yeah, I remember that. But it's interesting that you're not. And I wonder if anyone listening
kind of don't
knows
remember
what I mean.
No, I've read people talk about that. You're not the first person I've heard discuss this, mind you. So you're not alone.
Part of it was I did then imagine being them in that situation in those clothes. It wasn't just admiring and enjoying seeing them in it, which I did, but then the next thing was like, oh God, if only I was running around Central Perk in that skirt. And
So you would pretend to be Jennifer Aniston. Who would you be pretending to hook up with?
oh no, I'd be pretending to be caught, trying to be like that, and then unveiled publicly and forced to entertain a bunch of high and wealthy, powerful guests, predominantly women. I'm just subjugated to brutal humiliation and forced to keep my uniform on. Wow, I just said that. Christ.
Huh. I mean, maybe I could I think it would be maybe entertaining for the show and really sexually gratifying for you if we figure out a way to do that to you.
I'll find a way. I can't.
I mean, I could pretend to be,
Jennifer Aniston.
Joey.
Have you ever been to Disney World in Florida?
More times than I can count.
So I went there in 1996, and the Disney Parade float came down, right? And there was a Sleeping Beauty carriage, and I always remembered there was a guy playing Prince Philip, and he was throwing his sword around, and he had his cape off, and he had these sort of sheer grey tights on, and I was transfixed. Do you know what I remember that. So let's segue from celebrities maybe into characters and superheroes with that little anecdote. Do you get what I mean with that?
For me, let's just say the pause button on the old Christopher Reeve Superman movies happened a lot. And this was a difficult time to pause, you see, because, the pause button that we had been used so much it was sort of pushed inward, and it didn't, it wasn't that reliable. But there's this one shot of him in, I can't remember which one it is, but they go from toe to head, and I just paused at those those tights, and I was just little boner, but didn't know what a boner was yet, because I'm probably 8 or 9. So it's oh, that thing's doing its thing again.
And what was it? Did you want to be in those tights? Did you want to just stare at them? Did you want to touch him in them?
D, all of the above.
Right. And were you aware of that at the time? That
I wanted to touch them? Yeah. I mean, I think that on some level you have to be. I'd never touched anything like that, but it wasn't much longer after that I figured it out that I had to do this. And I mean, I wasn't conscious about it at the time, but definitely, I think if I don't know if Christopher Reeve came up to me in person, I would not have asked, "Can I touch your legs?" Because that would be a weird question to ask somebody, no matter what the circumstances.
The other one was that Batman and Robin show that was shot in the 70s, I think, where they were both.
See, I missed out on that entirely because it wasn't even rerunning when I was a kid. So I couldn't even see it, and but I've seen old pictures of it, and Robin's in fucking pantyhose.
Yeah,
he's just
yes. I was about to make there was to answer our previous conversation about which do you prefer. I liked both, but I used to be drawn to Robin because he had much more girly.
Oh, of course. On. Yeah, I mean Robin. Okay, and first of all, we're supposed to believe they're not gay. Okay, Boy Wonder comes in wearing pantyhose. It's just. How is that not gay? And people are going to get upset. They're saying, it's not gay. I'm yeah, it is. There's one of the superheroes has to be gay, people. One of them. They're all running around in tights to show off their bodies. And that was the reason why they did it, because they were allowed to show off their bodies. But what's interesting is that every single superhero that's out there, they all wore tights, the males. Not so much true with the females. The females were usually bare-legged, and they just would have knee-high boots or something like that.
Yeah, and that always frustrated me. I was I love that the guy ones wore tights, but I was why don't they get the girl ones to wear tights as well?
I feel because maybe it's the whole the fear of women. Maybe they don't want them to be compared to women because the reality is they're wearing a quote-unquote woman's garment in the story, so maybe they're just doing it. They don't want to remind people that these are boys in tights.
And that's why I used to feel more alone. I thought maybe no one else likes tights like I do. They're dressing men in them for practical and flashy reasons. They're taking women out of them because men find women sexy without tights on. So it felt like more of a barrage of you shouldn't be liking this thing about women and women's clothing so much because no one else does.
I'm watching your evolution happening live. This isn't honestly, McSheer and I did not know each other 7 weeks ago, right? It was he McSheer was like very scared, very timid, hadn't talked to anybody, other than it was what, Kathy and John Smith, right? And these were people over, you know, on a podcast, which which I feel like you should tell the story about what happened with that podcast, because it's really funny. The little incident you had.
I had taken myself to a hotel out on the motorway. I basically went about an hour away from London into the countryside. I found a hotel, and I packed my bitch bag. I call it my bitch bag. It's full of all my tights and all my pantyhose, my skirts, my makeup bag, 2 wigs, corsets, you know, the lot, whip, a butt plug, all the stuff. 3 pairs of heels. Take that with me. I'm getting all excited. The heart's going. A bit like those times when you first ever try it on and you know you shouldn't. It's all going. It's all going. We've got this arranged schedule. People are asking me, why can't I go to work? Why can't I do X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no, I'm out of town. I've got to do something tonight. Just lying through my teeth. They're like, okay. And I sort of switch off from the world, knowing I'm going to get a call from the Strict Anonymous podcast and another one of her listeners to discuss. We're doing a round table, I think, about Pantyhose. And it was my first time going on, and I got all built up for it, like literally 2 weeks in the planning. If you can imagine the tunnel vision I got, if we got nearer and nearer the day, am I going to pull out, am I not? I even bought pink champagne for myself.
To really fem it up.
Yeah, I really wanted to feel it and enjoy myself. And it got to what I thought the time was, and as I got to my computer, I logged on, wanted to be 5 minutes early. I've got loads of messages. Where are you? What's going on and all this? And look, the long and short of it is the time difference had screwed up. We change our clocks at different times of the year. We both change our clocks. But you changed to summertime a week before us or a week after us. And we'd gotten out of sync by that. And I came on, I was gutted, not only because of what the preparation I'd done, what I was wearing and all of this, but also I was like, this is my goddess, my idol. And I feel like I've let her down. What's she going to think? I was so worried. And then she was really cool. We just recorded it the following week. But I was then sat on my own in the middle of blooming Berkshire in England in a Travelodge, a broken transvestite. With his,
you're like, I'm going to go sad jerk off.
Well, yeah, but so horny because it was kind of humiliating, I guess. And I could then conjure up all these fantasies.
Even that got you? Like, so there was a bright side to that. Then the bright side was at least you got a little bit of humiliation?
Yeah, it's conflicting, though. It's conflicting because you're really shutting out the... I was also laughing out loud. I was like, this is hilarious. I really wish I'd gone downstairs and to the bar and just spoke to someone about it, because that would have been a mad night for them.
That would be, yeah, that's some like sitcom quality stuff. Just be like, I was so ready for this awesome date, and I got the time mixed up. So here I am all dressed up with nowhere to go. How are you doing? Buy me a drink?
Is there anything else on celebrities that we haven't touched? We've sort of said characters. Kylie Minogue's got loads, and Beyonce, she's always wearing double
Kylie
O's.
Minogue does look great. Yeah, Beyonce, yes, she does. She does like to wear the tights or the pantyhose. She does do the double layers. We should start dressing in themes. Do you want to be Beyonce next time? From the Beyonce video, the single ladies.
Let's definitely do a Beyonce week. We should encourage our listeners to, if we know what the themes are in advance, they could dress for it while they're listening to it as well and send in their pics.
Submit your photos of yourself dressed if you can't dress for the listening. Definitely dress up though and send us, your
so if
version
we did
of
a Beyonce themed week, we see everyone's version or as close as they can get to Beyonce attire. Or
I mean, I think Beyonce single ladies is going to be the first. I think that's the first one. I mean, unless you have a better idea.
No.
And I don't know if we want to dress up as little elves just yet.
Rihanna as well. There's another one, but she's also got the dominatrix vibe about her. She loves.
Rihanna does. She does do that. She does like the pantyhose. She does.
And BDSM in general.
She does. She does. She likes that. What is that one song she did? It was called BDSM, I think. We were at that time. Why don't we go into our guest spot for the day? This is a patron who has been incredibly supportive. He is one of our higher tier patrons. If he just for your information, for $20 a month, if you want to do a segment on the show along with a whole bunch of other goodies, you can go to our Patreon and sign up, and it's tons of good stuff. And one of the bonuses that happened was this patron got to do a segment on the show with us, and this is Hunter Loves Hose. He is an awesome guy. I think you'll really get a lot of really good insight from him. I know I did.
Okay, here's Hunter.
We can call you Hunter Hose, is what you're known for online. Is that viable? Would that be?
There's a loves in the middle.
Oh, Hunter Loves Hose. Okay, so
yeah.
We'll
but Hunter's fine. Just call me Hunter.
Okay, I'll call you Hunter.
It's not very far from my real name at all. So just nobody sue me. But I mean, what are you gonna sue me for?
Yeah, I don't think there's a Hunter Loves
like
company. So how old were you when you first wore? It's that question that we have to know.
Oh, we're talking about me already.
We're talking about you already.
6.
6. All right. What was the incident? What was the imprint, as it were, as everybody says we all have? What imprinted you?
Well, I'm old enough where like commercials had on TV had hosiery ads.
Wow.
Very alluring for me. I think I was watching like in my 6-year-old self a TV up in my parents' bedroom, a really small one, and it was black and white. That's how fucking old it was. It's like, and saw some sort of commercial, and it looked alluring because like the commercials are like feel soft, feel luxurious, I'm like, oh, that sounds nice, and so went to my mom's bedroom and bathroom. I think she had a pair of like knee highs. I mean, she probably wore socks or slacks, right? And had knee highs. And I tried a pair on. I'm 6 years old, and like, oh, I like this. And I think I liked it for the sensual reasons, but I think even at that age, I knew it was kind of taboo. And so it's like all of that kind of mixed together, which is what this thing is, and this fetish, or for me, it's sort of like a fetish and an obsession.
That's something I'm always curious. It's the bit before we get old enough to know that it's a fetish and such.
Right.
But how do you reckon we know it's taboo? And because it's kind of not instantly a turn on. You also talked about the advert using words like alluring. Why is it not that every single boy and girl suddenly wants to get them? There's something about how we've all connected with that at a young age, more so than others.
Right. Well, I think there's different levels. I think like the two of you are perfect examples of like why you kind of wear, if you don't mind me saying. I think McSheer comes at it from more of a cross-dressing side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the King is kind of more into the sensual aspects of it, which is pretty cool.
I agree.
For both reasons. And I think as I get older, I sort of like the sensual aspects of it increase more and more than the fetish, but the fetish is still solidly there. I think at 6 years old, and when you're like that age, you kind of know gender roles.
Yeah.
Right? What you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. At the same time, too, I think I was fully admitted being attracted to women's legs. Totally like turned on by that aspect. And I also knew like I had a couple girls in my neighborhood about my age who had like
and how old
Barbie
were you during how old?
I was like 6 or 7. I'm just saying like my neighbors have like a Barbie makeup kit. Like it's like a head, like a statue head that you put makeup on or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I wasn't necessarily into like girly girl things like that, but just playing with them with that, I knew like I wasn't supposed to, and it was kind of fun. But also, these two girls were so cute; it was just fun to be with them, I think. And the funny thing is like their father was a butcher, a meat butcher. So it's like, what's this little blonde-haired boy doing with my girls? He's not doing the right thing. Whereas his sons are all like football players and all the rest of the stuff. But I think at 6 years old, you're very aware of taboos and what you should and shouldn't do. So I knew I had to be sneaky about it.
But that's what's miraculous about this. I think that's what often gets undermined, even in all the stuff that's being discussed. That think about a 6-year-old and how, like, even when people are 9 and even 15, we forgive them for being so young still. So a 6-year-old, and I would say maybe even younger, this awareness of gender roles, like that is amazing because we're not aware of crossing the road without dangers, or we're not aware of so many other things that are pretty basic, but we're somehow really aware of, in our case, clothing that is or isn't for us, right?
Well, do you think that is because of the way that, and just generally, I mean, because they say that memory is not as reliable as we have it. So do you think that as we move on through life, maybe there's an element of like sort of reverse engineering your memories and sort of implanting adult thoughts into what you maybe never had them, but you put the thoughts there because it makes sense for your narrative, right? Because I mean, it's like I can't remember
psychic hindsight.
Yeah. It's like I can't remember. I do know. I mean, I knew that like pantyhose were something that boys didn't wear, but the incident for me that was a big like thing was half of my school, half of the boys were doing a play. Like we split up and did 2 plays, you know, between the entire class. One half of the class of boys was in a Robin Hood play, and they all got to wear pantyhose, and I was of course in the group that didn't. And I remember seeing like all the boys in my like grade school walking like outside one day in pantyhose, and I was just like, "What's this?" So
I think at that young age too, I was sort of like jealous of girls who were in ballet or in plays, or maybe if another boy, something like that. But I have to say the distinction of like what are pantyhose, what are nylons versus tights, and this is a long discussion.
Yeah, people fight about this.
And for me, and I heard you guys talk about this in the last session too. For me, it's like it doesn't count unless it's sheer, in a way.
For pantyhose, like, for sure.
Sort of, and I'm even sort of less into like black, like hose or moderate hose, but that's not true. It's like I have like 40 Denier, some that are really nice, high quality above, that are just comfortable to wear. But I feel like the fetish aspect is more into it being sheer, and sort of like as a young kid, I was like, oh, like men were wearing tights back in the Renaissance. It's like, well, it's not exactly the same thing.
You're like, I wouldn't be turned on that much, just a little.
No. And plus, it's like the other thing is the psychology of it. It's like, I probably wouldn't have been into it unless women were into it. I always think about that.
Really?
You know, but here's like, King, like you're kind of into it because of the sensual aspect. This is kind of different than that. But this is go back to being 6 years old, and sort of like a lot of boys at 6 years old might try them and you know nothing happens or whatever. But I think that the thing is like what hooked me line and sinker is this is typical of like fetishists with an object, is it coincided at puberty time. So like advanced to like when I was 12 years old, I realized I was a full functioning man, but it was wearing pantyhose.
So basically you had an orgasm.
Yes,
okay.
And the very first time it was all that, and that's like the hook, line, and sinker for a classic fetishist of any kind.
So I'm exactly the same. However, I remember being young enough to when I shared a bed with my siblings, which puts me below 5 or 6, and I used to get told off for bed humping, and I used to secretly pretend to be upset because what I was desperately scared of was they knew that I was actually sneaking in tights. Pantyhose.
Oh, that you were wearing in
I was
bed
wearing
with them?
But I'd wait till everyone fell asleep. I'd go and get them,
you telling me that.
Put them on, roll around in them. I'd got hard. I didn't know what it meant then, but I remember my cock feeling. Do you know what I mean? This is way before puberty, right?
Yeah. I remember like 6 or 7 asking my mom if I could wear, can I wear pantyhose? And she goes, no. Like, you know, and then, I would like, so in other words, I didn't have the freedom or whatever to even, I don't even think I was like taking any from her room. It was 12 years old where I was sort of like, remembered how I felt about him and then just kind of put them together. And then that's where everything kind of took off. And then sort of like, by 15, 14, even buying them at the drugstore.
Wow.
You know?
Now that takes some guts because
but I remember the male sales clerk was like, oh, he must be cold. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Oh wow, he said something?
Cold. I'm cold. I live in Southern California. I'm freezing.
He must have been aware too. Now that you think about it, that's probably somebody who had it too, because I've never had anybody say a single thing.
And as you've said too, it's quite common.
It's so common.
If men are buying hose, it's usually you're buying it for your partner, female partner, which is pretty typical actually, more or less. Some guys have to buy them or whatever, or they're buying them for themselves. But the thing is like I'm comfortable talking about it because I know how common of an article of clothing it is worn, even sheer hosiery. But the thing that's the turn on is like the lingerie aspect of it for me, kind of the underclothing.
Yeah.
But lingerie is sort of like higher end.
Yeah.
You talk about the wearing, the seeing, the
sort of, well, I think what I'm guessing is the fact that they can be incorporated in a a sexy way as a part of sexual attire. Like they can be you can wear them outside and they're fine, but then you also can take them in the bedroom and they can be like an aid, a sexual superpower, as I call it. Because I feel like if you have the fetish, it's just sort of like Pavlov's dog, right? Yeah, I think it's a superpower because I was talking to McSheer about it last episode where we were like, what would happen if it went away? Like, and I would be pissed if I didn't have it the next day. I'd be like, all right, great. So just regular naked sex? Okay. That sounds like a blast. Right. Actually, King, you and I have had a tussle in chat. We have? We fought? Oh, what did we fight about? What did I say? What did I fucking say? I was trying to make some, like, what I thought were, like, positive... oh, God. Positive points about your website that you took very, very harshly, and I was trying to be constructive. Oh, I was probably in a bad mood. I think it was my semantics. And this is good to hear for me. This is good to hear for me. Shut up, McSheer. Be quiet. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. But the thing is like, you've been in the community for so long that it's like when you started up the podcast, I was like, hell yeah. I mean, I applaud you that you keep on plugging away. And like I emailed you, whether it's the Pantyhose King or pantyhoseking.com, whatever it may be, or changing site designs and platforms, you're still going at it. Oh yeah, I changed. I had to get rid of the old site because there was an incident where somebody went a little psychotic and broke into it. So I had to completely dismantle it because I had private information. Don't worry, that person got taken care of. I think one last geek point I wanted to say, being like and one point that you guys were talking about Queen Elizabeth I and stockings. Yeah. And I have to say, there's a really interesting point that I was a history major before I was a music major. Mm-hmm. And the history of the Industrial Revolution is all about textiles, and specifically socks and stockings. Yeah. Because if you think about it, they're the things that have to be made the most. Mm-hmm. And they were produced, and trying to automate that was what the Industrial Revolution was. But those silk stockings that were presented to Queen Elizabeth was basically some guild who you could imagine like silk, which was just brand new. It just came from the Orient, right? But Elizabeth herself was responsible for stopping the Industrial Revolution because she thought that she'd put all the cottage industry of all the knitters and sewers making socks out of business if they automated it. So she actually, if you look at some history and articles about that, she's actually responsible for stopping the Industrial Revolution by a couple centuries. But the point is, it's all about socks and stockings that started the Industrial Revolution.
We actually want to bring on people who are experts in different facets,
like fashion experts and whatnot. Yeah,
the more for us to explore, just even in that little nugget of gold you've given us there. You talked about being 15 years old and having the guts to go and buy some from a supermarket or a drugstore in your language.
What's it called over there?
A supermarket.
A supermarket, okay.
Or a corner shop.
Yeah, 15-year-old. I rode my bike, went and got it, rode back, scared to death, and just like did it. And like there are also like aborted attempts where I was too scared.
Yeah. I remember those. Yeah. In my
20s. See, these are like huge moments of drama that get that. But then, when you get them, it's a little bit like when you go and pick up drugs, that feeling coming back. It's not comparable, but it's the most similar I've had to go take the plunge and go and buy a pair of tights.
The adrenaline, yeah.
I would say nylons too are the gateway to like more cross-dressing. I think it's a huge starting point for a lot of people because it's so like not specifically feminine in a way, but it is so because it's like, and it's something that both genders can wear equally the same. I mean, because it's not like a brassiere.
When they're on a man, they don't look feminine. Like I think that they highlight the parts of the body of the man that are masculine.
When I wear out, and I do wear in public a lot of times, especially with shorts, I kind of don't. If I'm in like guy mode, which means I don't have makeup on or I'm not wearing a dress, I kind of only want the hose. Like I don't want to wear high heels and like male garb. But then again, if I were more into high heels, I'd probably do it.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
I subscribe to a lot of Instagram people. Everybody on Instagram who I could see, like men who wear it openly. I love to follow them on Instagram because that to me is more exciting. But then there are other people who are openly who kind of like wear, they're like feminine from the waist down.
Yeah.
Like
Like Eddie
heels
Izzard
and
kind of.
everything, and I'm just not really into heels at that regard. I would be unless I'm totally going out. And I'll just say I met my current partner while we were both out in drag.
Wow.
Really?
And,
I was going to say, so you do cross dress as well?
yeah, but I less so because I just can't be bothered with having to go through all the fucking trouble.
But does it turn you on to cross dress?
It does, and less so as I get older. But yes, it does.
Yeah.
I definitely have the cross-dressing fetish in spades, and I mean that's fine.
Yes.
And I'm kind of like the thing about like, oh, men should be worried about wearing hose. It's sort of like I kind of believe in flying your freak flag, just sort of because it's your mental health is better being out there. What's the worst that can happen? Well, there's plenty of things that can happen for
Not if you're,
transgender
but
people and,
if
like,
you're in the middle of like, say, the Bible Belt, or if you're in like some Middle Eastern country where it's against the law
Right.
to be, homosexual,
you can be
that's a
executed.
whole different, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But if you're in a,
Right.
and I tell this to McSheer all the time, and I am, and I'm serious, because he lives in London. Nothing's going to happen to you if you are seen wearing.
Well, I don't fear anything happening.
But you still don't do it.
Because, yeah, I don't do it because I probably will soon. It's about how I feel and why I do it. I do it for sexual reasons, like really sexual reasons. And
Yeah.
I can't. I don't
Wear it
like
to
what
a
I don't
sexy
want.
bar.
When I've with a few people that know about it, and when I have gone out before, things didn't go well, but it attracts an attention that I don't like. I hate the sort of faux support. Oh, you're so amazing. You're so courageous. You know what I mean? I want to get off. I want to be sissified and
Gotcha.
act out
Right,
situations.
right.
It's kind of something about the real world in it.
Yeah.
I do want to. I am going to participate in this sort of getting out there. I think it's really fun, and I
Oh,
want
yes,
to
you
do
will.
it. It's awesome, but I'm not craving to go out in public. I'm not like, I just need to get out there. It's I really would like to go out more full femme and be
Well, then do that.
the people doing
I mean, why
double
not?
takes, and when I hear people, when I have done it, people go, "Oh my god, is that a man? Look at his legs. He's got tights on." That's really sexy to me.
When I wear like publicly, I kind of like, I'm not like in male mode. I'm not super super like crazy about it in a way. Like it's just looks like it kind of, not that I'm trying to be matchy, but it's
Yeah.
sort of like, if I like, remember when we used to work in offices?
No.
No,
I've never heard of such a thing.
It's been so fucking long.
It's a
But
myth.
I'm sort of like, if I have to get dressed up meaning put on something other than shorts and tennis shoes, I'd put on a pair of hose or something, even like thigh highs without socks, and just go about my daily business that way.
Yeah.
And that's the part of like the hosiery that I've come to like now, where it's sort of the obsession of, what style and brand, and are they comfortable? Are they going to be good looking too? As opposed to wanting to look for the reaction. Like I'm not, sometimes I'm in a mode where I'm sort of, I want to wear it for a reaction, but other times it's like, if I'm not, it's like this, if I'm not wearing hose sometimes, then I'm thinking about wearing hose.
Yeah.
Right. So by the act of wearing them, I'm almost calmer and able
Right,
to
yeah.
concentrate.
Can we just ask, have you got any funny tales where you either got caught, didn't get caught, tried to get them, you got them ripped, got them lost? Who have you stolen them from? Just one little
Not
anecdote.
everybody's turned on by that McSheer. Not everyone's turned on by getting caught. It's like it was really traumatic for me.
I've stolen very little. It's like it was my mom when I was younger, and I couldn't like go and buy them or whatever. But I definitely have never really preferred wearing someone else's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like, I don't know, if it's underwear especially, I kind of just want my own.
Dude, I know. Like, haven't you ever, like, people, like,
Yeah,
I've had
but-
guys buy my used hose before, and I'm like, okay, well.
I don't want to give too much away about myself, but I guess I kind of will. But my partner, girlfriend of 20 years or more,
Wow.
is transgender, and we both met like in drag, but she transitioned and I never did. So it's not that I ever wanted to. I will admit to like having some transgender kind of tendencies or desires. Like if I were a woman now, I would not mind like that. I would like be fine.
Okay.
I wouldn't have any problem.
You wouldn't
with
miss
it,
being a
but
man.
No, No, but I kind of like as a man though, I miss being like I said, pigeonholed into saying, yeah, the game was great,
Yeah.
Like I hate toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. And the kind of guys I'm attracted to are kind of on the femme side, or at least not hairy. I don't know. But long story short is I got the perfect partner to like wear whatever I want.
Sounds
Yeah.
like
Like
bliss.
she's totally encouraging about everything, more so than I am in a way. But the thing is like she never got the quote unquote hose gene. Like I've got the fetish in spades, and she
wow.
never does.
Well, that's
She's more she's more of a tomboy than I am, if you know what I mean. Like I'm more of a girly girl, left onto my own
The
devices.
first time you told her about this, what was that like? There must have been some sort of.
Well, I mean, if we both met in drag, and then then I just basically just said, yeah, I just like wearing hose and all the time, and she was fine with it. And like a modern woman, like the way of the dodo, as you've said that before,
Yeah.
less and less women are into hosiery, unless, and that's the other thing too. I want to make a point of, like not wearing every day is fine because it is kind of a fussy, dressy item
yeah. I
in a
mean,
way.
I definitely I've
You
run
know?
late to a lot of things because I'm
Yeah.
putting on my pantyhose and I don't want to rush it.
I don't make fun of people who wear or cross dress, but it's sort of like the time it takes to get yourself into that, like, oh, are you pampering yourself again? I mean, like, that's okay. That's worthy of being made fun of, right? To a little extent. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm shaving my legs. Oh,
Oh, it's the indulgent aspect of it.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, that's the other thing too, is like everybody, we kind of have this common fetish, but if you dissect it further, everybody's sort of stands on their own little island of
Yeah.
specificness, even if it's a little pixel.
Yep.
Like my point is McSheer's pixels, it's got to be tights,
Yeah.
specifically. Whereas for me, it's more like sheer leg wear.
Right.
So in other words, like stockings. And
What Denier are you talking about, McSheer? What? Like, maybe we should just we should say. I always thought it was
Christine and
Denier.
Belair.
I can't believe how American I sound saying that.
Denier.
Denier is how to pronounce it. And I'm like
Just
Denier.
call it Denier.
Denier.
I say
is
Denier.
that it though?
Denier.
Denier. But it's Denier. I bet it's. No, I think he said it right the first.
Oh, I don't think I'm saying it right. I'm just telling you how I say it.
Probably be Denier.
Yeah, because it sounds
but
French. That does-
Denier is fine.
When we were at secondary school here, the age of 11 to 18, most schools the uniform prescribes that the girls will wear a
Yeah.
skirt and black tights. Those
Right.
tights are more like pantyhose than what you guys think tights are. But
They
they're
are?
thicker, but they're 30 denier. They're 30 denier black tights. I know that because I remember my sister always having to buy them at school, and then
More lycra based than say cotton based. Nylon lycra as opposed to cotton based.
yeah, but there was so many variations again within it, and they are just as sexy to me, depending on what role we're playing. There's something about the black tights. Waitresses wear them here all the time.
They do.
I've been to London many times. I used to go there every fall, so I know it very well.
You know what I mean, don't
And
you?
it's like like the army of black tights on the tube.
But do you know what I mean? They're not quite like when I sometimes hear in America people going, "Oh, I'm not into tights; they're too thick." I know I'm not into those kind of tights either. But there is this sort of there's so much more on the spectrum. But I think aren't quite like these really sexy sheer to waist, 20 denier or less.
Yeah, I want to see a little
like
skin.
30 to 40, 30 to 50 probably.
Yeah, I think 40 would be the capper for me. Like,
And it's also
yeah, it starts to go
it's
into
to do with
tights.
the girliness and the context where it is in our heads and our culture. Do you know what I mean? It's the office.
Shaw, man, what are you talking about? What's girly about wearing pantyhose? Whatever.
Were you nervous at all, Hunter, coming on?
Just a tad necessarily, wondering to like, okay, how far do I expose my name, my picture? But I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I didn't actually feel like wearing hose at all. I've sort of been a little on the. I'm coming out of it. It's kind of a little bit of a blue funk over the weekend. I was like, I didn't exactly know why, but then because we're having the podcast, I put some hose on. I'm like, hey, I got in a better mood.
Yeah, I'm wearing two. Hey, you know who was
Yeah.
you know who was putting them on as you called?
The Queen.
McSheer, he was like, I should put some on too. And he's like, and then you rang in and I was like, oh no, we gotta start.
I was like, do I have time to
Yeah,
shave as well?
That's you did
But-
say that. You were like, oh, I gotta shave. And I was like,
Right.
oh.
But I mean, the nervous aspect of it is just like, I hope to others who will listen to say, like, don't really be nervous about it necessarily. And like, what's the worst that's going to happen for me? Would my employer find out? They'd probably go, okay,
You two are in very healthy places, but there's not. I've never been scared about what the example of my employer might think of me. It's much more internal. There's something about my own judgment or how we feel about. It's like you said. It's such an intimate part of ourselves. It's such a close, intimate thing. I don't want to ruin how it then becomes part of my public life. I don't want it to.
Yeah, actually,
you know what I mean?
that's the other thing too. Like in some ways, if it becomes less taboo and not so favorable, it can almost become less desirable.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I like. Like the more and more and more I wear, it's sort of like, okay, I gotta stop and just sort of like let the juices germinate a little bit.
It always comes back.
That's not the right word. The right should say.
I think it's the right word. I feel like that was a proper slip of Freudian slip.
Marinate, not germinate, but marinate.
Juices works, I think, because it's their pantyhose. Let's face it. If there's not a little juice happening, then they're not really good pantyhose because they're probably uncomfortable.
Before, isn't that gross? No, I was kidding.
Maybe to somebody who's a prude, but not to me. I mean, like, one of my things for starting off and one of the things that blows my mind is that pantyhose companies don't seem to want to admit that they're involved with sexual, like, that there's a sexual connotation to them. Like this wholesome, like, you know, every pantyhose company has to be completely wholesome. They're like, we embrace all types of shapes, and we, you know, and I'm like, all right, but none of you want to talk about that these are worn during sex, like, at all, or, you know, that especially, let alone that men want to wear them. But I just so like my dream is to one day maybe have my own company where, you know, it's not embarrassed to admit what it's, you know, what it is, but I also don't think the taboo.
There are like men in lingerie sites with really good-looking male models.
Yeah, and
I'm like, that's sexy. That's sexy. You can't deny how sexy.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, of course it's sexy,
you know what I mean?
And it's also, you know, it's also just at least in America, men are keeping the pantyhose companies in business. It's not women. I work. You're talking about what we do our regular lives, personal training, and never had anybody say anything to me, and I've worn in front of my clients for years, and nobody said anything negative. I've gotten some positives though, not from, like, but it's been from other guys at the gym. This poor guy, like, he didn't. I could tell that it blew his mind that I was wearing really shiny, like, nude pantyhose underneath my, like, regular outfit, like, you know, the just the gym t-shirt and the shorts and the sneakers, and I turn around, this guy's looking at my legs, and I go, hi, and he goes, nice legs, and just ran away, just ran off. And I thought, oh, that poor bastard, like, he literally has the fetish, and then he turned around and saw somebody that was just like wearing it in public, and
it's terrifying.
He overloaded
the movie.
I was going to say, do you not see how hilarious a scene that is? That is.
It was really funny.
It's just like,
because it happened in front of my client too.
I just love how the client's there, you're there, and the guy that doesn't know what to say is there. And I don't know who's the most confused at that moment, and you're the one stood there in public wearing a pair of.
I was the least confused because I knew it was happening. I mean, like, he was checking me out, and I turned around, and he couldn't take his eyes off of me, and he's just there, like, staring at my legs, and my client sees him staring at my legs. Like, we're not talking about just like mild glance. Like, his eyes are popping. And it's just like, and then I had to let him know by saying, like, hey, how are you doing? To let him know that he had lost control of the situation. And that was just, it was great. It was a great moment. But, you know, even from the first day, like, it was my first day, and one of my coworker trainers there, like, walked up and was like, I want to lick your legs. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, ordinarily, I guess it would be sexual harassment, but I was cool with it. So I didn't have any complaints, but, you know, that's just me. Very personal. A pair of pantyhose dangling on a laundry line is not hot, right?
Oh, that is, though.
Oh,
I would be drawn to that.
It is. Yeah, exactly. It is. I'm sort of
horny.
turned on by that. Actually, I don't know.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
See.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. I'm with you.
Okay, well then why am I not seeing sites where it's just tons of pantyhose hanging on wires?
If you look at my Instagram, I've got my laundry pictures posted. So
yeah, but Instagram's not hot pictures. You can't post, like, really, because they don't let you post anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the suburban part about it. Why am I posting pictures of my laundry? So I think it's hot, and I can get away with it.
Well, you do know that you can post anything you'd like on the pantyhoseking.com website. FYI, you do have that option. So if there's anything you'd like to
Right.
share with...
I stopped short of showing my private parts just because I worry about like when I run for president.
Oh,
I'm
you
probably already.
do you have a tattoo that's identifiable? Do you have like a Mickey Mouse like tattoo or...
I just don't want people seeing my schlong.
That's cool. I mean, I and did you hear what McSheer wants to do? He misunderstood me. I thought I wanted to do a Zoom meeting where all the wares get together and we sort of talk on Zoom. And McSheer's like, he thought I was talking about like an actual like ballroom, like where we wear like masks kind of thing. So he's like, and I'll come to the States for it. So we might be doing both. I think McSheer wants to throw a pantyhose wearer's ball. Like
That's the ultimate dream. I fantasized about that before I even before any of this. Now I'm thinking it could become a thing for real.
I don't think it would be that difficult if we just give people enough time to like save up for the traveling.
Yeah.
But thank you, Hunter Loves Hose, for coming on today. It's been a pleasure, and it's been eye-opening.
Sure,
I would
my
say,
pleasure.
for me.
It's nice to meet you guys, and much success to the podcast, and congrats for doing it. And the hard part is following through, but hopefully you've got a great start going.
Well, that was Hunter, and if you all want to get to know him more, you can reach out to him on various sites, of which I will put in the show notes, including pantyhoseking.com. But remember, Insta is not naughty, so that's more of his casual thing. So and he is, as you know, he is a married man, so we'll be respectful. But you can send McSheer the nastiest letters that you want to. He will take them, and he will enjoy them. In fact, I implore everyone to do that. Write to McSheer your filthiest, naughtiest fantasy and send it to McSheer's a dirty slut at P.O. Box. No,
I want that address. That's great.
You could do that. P.O. Box.
Oh, Kate Middleton. There's another celebrity.
She's been a big proponent for, but I feel like she's been a big proponent for it, but she also they have to wear it, but she has been bringing it back. She's bringing it back. She's a fashionista, fashion icon. And she certainly has people talking, and her legs do look good. Not gonna lie, but what doesn't look good on that girl? That girl's pretty.
Yeah, and what doesn't look good in hose? So she's got it all.
She does. I mean, she looks great in hose. Like Jabba the Hutt wouldn't look good in hose.
Good shout. Good shout. I don't know. The idea of sliding the slime into the material kind of nice.
God, that's gross.
We found a celebrity that doesn't look good in tights. Everyone, that's Jabba the Hutt.
I think every maybe disfigured monster from film would be one I wouldn't fuck. Not really. I mean, maybe Frankenstein. He looks like he could have nice legs. Dracula, yeah, But let's just be honest. The Thing, no. Mm-mm.
Wow.
But I digress. I digest and digress. I'm sorry. I digest. God, why did I say digress? It's early.
It's very early. Well, thanks for getting up early to record this. I think it's been lovely. It's lovely to catch up. I hope you've all enjoyed it, episode 4.
And yes, and we'll be Beyonce. You've got to go shopping, and I got to figure out high heels, which you will be helping me with. Understood?
Yes, sire.
Good.
Of course.
You're a good subject. Now, be gone with you.
Goodbye.
Good morrow.